everyone, I'm Miss Kelly and welcome to Dollar Store DIY. I'm going to teach you how to make a very cool craft using only things you find at your local dollar store. So all you're going to need is a flower pot of any size, preferably a terracotta one with a hole at the top. So you're going to need that. You're also, the only thing you may hopefully have at home, but if not, the hardware store, hopefully your dollar store might have it. It's a very large washer. I actually found these at Home Depot and they're only like 50 cents. Okay, you're going to need yarn or string and a heavy duty rope. This is a paracord rope like you would use to make a bracelet. So it's very strong, it can hold a lot of weight, but you can use a regular cord. You could use like a rope, an outdoor rope, anything that you feel is strong enough to hold this pot. And our special beaded wind chimes, because we are making a flower pot wind chime. There's a little preview of what it's going to look like. Okay. So I went ahead and I beaded these pieces of yarn. I used yarn because I had yarn. You can also find yarn at your dollar store, but any kind of rope that you have that can fit beads on it is perfect. I beaded this with regular craft beads. You can use any sort of bead that you have at home, and you can even use pasta, but if you're actually planning on putting it outside like a regular wind chime, that may not last quite so long. It also might get ate by birds. I'm not really sure about that. Birds might like that. I don't know. But on another note, this is going to be outside, so you could always, rather than beading your yarn, you could find some string and you can attach some peanut butter and bird seeds to it, and birds could eat off of it. So that's another option for you. Always fun to watch the birds. I have some examples of different kind of beads you might find at your dollar store. Some very large plastic ones, some little round ones, and then the regular craft ones you probably already have at home. Any of these will work. I do recommend adult supervision if you're got some little ones, just because it is a choking hazard anytime you work with beads. So that's something to note. I have also pre-painted my flower pot. You don't, the reason I did this is because it does have to dry, and I wanted to be able to show you the entire process. To paint it, all I used was some acrylic paint, which they do have at the dollar store. I went with some fuchsia and some turquoise. You can do any colors you want. You can do any technique you want. I just painted mine with a regular foam. You can paint it with a paintbrush. You can do finger paint. Another thing you could always do is a dish sponge. That's always fun. You can do textures, whatever it is you want. It's completely up to you. Just get creative. I painted mine solid, and then I kind of let it drizzle down the sides. Turned out pretty cool. It did take a little bit to dry though. The first coat dried pretty quickly, but I did put some really big splashes down the side, and it took maybe an hour for that to totally dry. So that's something to keep in mind. It's gonna be pretty quick me putting it together here, but it might take a little bit longer at home just because I already did some things in advance in order to show you how to do everything. I cut some examples though of my yarn, and the length of the yarn totally up to you as well, depending on how high you want to hang your flower pot. So in order to find out how long you want it to be, you're going to feed this yarn through the hole in the top of the pot, and then you hold it up and you see how far it goes. I have a very large flower pot, and I chose to make them about that much length. So what you can do, once you put it through the flower pot and determine how long you want this to be, pull it through and give yourself about 3 or 4 more inches, and then you can cut it here at the top. And the reason you want it to be extra long is because you're going to need to tie quite a few knots at the bottom, quite a few knots at the top, and you're also going to want to leave about 4 or 5 inches of yarn at the top because you're going to tie that around these guys. And then we also have my paracord, which you're gonna tie through the washers. And this, I would recommend being about this long, and you can always tie at the top, and this is about 7 inches. You can also tie more rope at the top, but you just want to have enough to reinforce for this little knot. We'll get to that last. Let me show you a little example, the different kind of beads you can do just for fun. So I did a few different things. I made 4 strings. You can make as many strings as you want. I would suggest no more than 6 because they are gonna have to all fit on that same washer. But here you see, I did one that's 2 colors. I did it clear so you could see my really cool multicolored yarn. I did one where it was all jumbled up, all different colors. I did one where I put 2 beads of the same color in a pattern all the way up. That looks really cool. And then these 2 are kind of solid on the bottom. And I wanted them to be kind of different. Oops, I keep dropping that one. I want them to all be kind of different because they're all going to be down there like this in the wind. You can hear it making some noise. It's also going to bang up against this pot and make some noise. I don't know about you, but I think wind chimes are so much fun. And in January, the weather can be a little sad and a little rainy, so it's always good to have something pretty hanging on your tree that you can look up to, brighten up your day a little bit. Okay, so now that I've showed you all the things that I have, I'm gonna show you how to put this thing together. So this is what your washer is gonna look like when you complete the knot. This part is a little bit complicated because you do need it to balance. So I did this, I'm gonna undo it and show you what I did. So the first thing I did was tie a double knot at the top of this, leaving some rope hanging out of each side. Then I'm going to thread those through the hole in the washer, and I'm just gonna go just like this. See that? Then what I'm gonna do is spread those out so that they're on each side to balance it. I'm going to put it through one more time. So you'll just put that through the hole right on top. And that's gonna sort of reinforce it. Now it hangs like this because it's not inside the pot yet. But once I put it inside the pot, I'm gonna thread it through the hole in the top. I'm gonna keep those little ropes balanced out, so one on each side. There you go, as you can see. So it's gonna hold it, if you can see these little pink pieces, one on top, one on bottom, and that holds it pretty balanced. So that's the first one. I'm going to set this on top of that little knot so it's folded there. And then I'm gonna get the other one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie all of my chime beads to this other washer. You're gonna be sure to double knot so that it stays. And depending on what kind of rope you have, you might have to tie it more than twice. But the yarn is a pretty small, so it usually holds pretty well. And I'm gonna try to space these out around the center of this donut looking piece of metal I have here. Tie it, and you can tie them all the same length, you can tie them all different lengths. Tie that. Go all the way around. And you don't have to tie them on here all even because you will be able to slide them. Let's see. This is my last one. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So I'm going to spread those all out. Looks just like this. Then what I'm gonna do, this is a little bit complicated. I'm going to thread each individual chime through this hole in the other washer where our large rope is. Might be a little difficult. And if you're having a hard time, which for some reason I am, you can always flip this over like this. Pull each individual one through, the hole in the pot and the hole in the washer. One. Just be sure you don't get them tangled. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm threading them through each hole separately. Keep it from getting tangled at the top. And the reason I'm threading it through both is going to make it a little bit stronger. Always a good thing when you're talking about something that's going to go outside. So it's a little tight, which is why you want to be sure you know that every rope that you thread will actually fit through here before you go through all the trouble of threading those beads. And it also depends on what size beads you use, how many you can fit through here. Okay, so all of these threaded through both pieces. And then what I'm going to do on the other side is thread my large rope through here. Okay. I did it backwards. Thread it through here. Difficult, but it's actually quite easy. I'm just trying to make sure that the washer on the inside is flush with the bottom of this pot because it makes it feel a little more secure. I'm going to flip it over. Then I'm going to look at this and make sure that all my beads are spread out evenly. So you can still move them. There we go. So look at that. There it is, my dollar store DIY. In total, this probably cost about $6, so that's not bad. You can hang it on a tree, you can hang it on your porch, wherever you have a hook. There we go. I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make something cool all from the dollar store. Hope you had a fantastic time and a wonderful new year. I'll see you next time.